This week, I've turned up for work, but some people won't be. And Rishi Sunak has been talking about those people. He wants to stop GPs from being able to give you a sick note because he thinks it's got far too easy to get one and take time off work that's fully paid. Now, I think this is pretty nasty stuff. He actually went further and said if you've not been in work for 12 months and you've had a programme to try and help you and it's not worked, well, then you won't get any benefits at all, which I think is terrifying and Dickensian. Some disability charities have said that this is nasty and dangerous and that people with serious conditions, both mental health and physical health, are going to struggle. Indeed, today the Work and Pensions Secretary said that anxiety shouldn't be a reason to be off work. Now, I'm often anxious around Darren. But I'm still here. Do you think that this is a serious way to solve the problems? Or is it not looking at the consequence of things like the NHS not functioning effectively so people are still off work, rather than the root of it?
Well, absolutely. I think we should be serious about fundamental NHS reform. But, you know, I was brought up by a mother on her own.
Dragged up, I think.
Dragged up, yes. And she, you know, was a recipient of benefits. So I don't bash the welfare state without any recognition that I myself haven't benefited from it. But I think that's a world away from being able to go to the Department of Work and Pensions and say, well, actually, I snore at night and therefore I can't do a full day's work because actually my sleep is impacted by the fact that I snore. Or, oh, well, I'm a bit sad today, so I'm going to take a week off work. I'm sorry, but you know, we've dealt with serious healthcare issues in the past without actually allowing people to claim personal independence payments in the same way you would if you had spina bifida for having been a bit sad. I think that's completely disproportionate.
Getting a GP note doesn't mean you're getting benefits. It means you're being paid but not having to turn up to work after more than a week.
Which really is in of itself a benefit.
Well, it's not costing the state money. But look, do you not think, Albie, that given we have massive problems with the health service and with the economy, that this is pretty desperate tinkering to try and be a bit populist at the last minute?
Well, I think the issue is that the budget that is going to be spent on personal independence payments is projected to grow by almost 50%. And the Prime Minister, very diligently, in my opinion, is thinking, well, obviously, that is not something which is affordable. We need to think of a way to make sure that bill doesn't grow too much. So I think the plan that Rishi Sunak has come up with, even though I appreciate it sounds difficult to hear from him, this very privileged, very wealthy man telling people who might have things like depression, which I have, by the way, or anxiety or other mental health illnesses, actually, work can be good for you. Not necessarily being signed off work is the best thing for you when you have those conditions. I think that is a reasonable thing to say. I would say for me and for my depression, other than seeing a therapist and being on antidepressants, the two things that have helped me the most have been exercise and work.
But can I just point out, if you're in a depressive episode, which is a serious thing, do you think your workplace saying, no, you're not getting any money this week, would have helped?
No, I don't think that's helpful.
Because that's basically what he's saying.
I don't think that's helpful all the time. Obviously, when people are at rock bottom, it would not be appropriate for them to go to work. But what I'm saying is it can prolong being at rock bottom if you're not interacting with people, you're not doing anything, and you're not going outside. And if you're not going out to work, you're more likely to be doing all of those things.
I think that taking it out of the GP's list of things to do, like provide sick notes, is actually a great idea because it would free the GPs up. I mean, they haven't said how they're going to pay for this other magical system that's...
And he hasn't said who else would give the sick note, so it seems not very well thought through.
But I do like sort of that initial idea. But if you sort of stop everybody going to work who's got depression and anxiety, well, I'm ever so sorry, my industry would be shut. I'm full of nutbags. That's what I do. And, you know, I have very big panic attacks right before I go on stage. If I've got 6 stag doos and 8 hen doos in front of me, and we're all there wheezing in the background. But mental health is important, yes, but I do think that there is a victimhood culture that you must face up to and you must accept. Some people are taking the mickey and having too many mental health days when they actually don't need them.
I have to say, I've only ever once had to go to a GP to get the sick note thing to be off work, and I was amazed at how easy it was.
Yes.
I can't. Like, she really didn't ask any questions, and I was. I mean, I was ill. You know, it was true. That's why I'd gone to a GP. But I was stunned at how easy it was, and I've only ever had to ask
Have you ever
once.
done that, Connor?
I think I've only taken one sick day in the last year, and like Alfie...
Sadly, it wasn't today, but...
like Alfie, look, I had depression as a teenager as well, and without hard work and exercise, I wouldn't have dragged myself up. And frankly, I do think people need to take a more resilient attitude, because in pre-modern economies, when you didn't have a welfare state, if you didn't get out of bed in the morning, you didn't eat, and you need to think that way.
Yeah.
I think resilience is important. Yeah, building that within yourself as much as you can, and taking advantage of the helpful things that are out there. Like even going for a walk every day can just boost your mood, you know?
Yes. But Benjamin, surely you must even accept that we have a victimhood culture in this country. As someone who likes to focus on the hierarchy of victimhood.
No, I don't like to say that. I mean, I'm sick of right-wingers thinking they're a victim for everything. I mean, it's all you ever talk about, quite frankly. I think the idea that it's a left-wing idea is ridiculous. But I just think that the problem here, the reason we've had a massive increase in the number of people who are long-term sick, let alone having more than 5 days off work, and that's because there's this huge backlog of the NHS. So you've maybe got some people that have serious mental health conditions that aren't dealt with, but more importantly, you've got people that have a physical issue that then gets much worse and causes much bigger problems because they can't get seen by a doctor. And I think I mean, it's easier said than done, but if a government was serious about the cost of sickies, then they'd be trying to fix the NHS and get people back in and having operations.
How is Keir Starmer going to fix the NHS?
Well, what Labour said, and I totally agree with them, it's what Labour did in 1997 when they cleared up the last mess you lot left, was that they will use all capacity in the private sector, and they're going to use state money to get you through the private sector to spare capacity.
What, state money from where?
Well... Albie.
Non-DOMs?
Indeed, exactly.
Mile per mile payment.
So you can't pay per mile.
But I think most people in this country, I think you'd struggle if we asked the viewers...
raise taxes.
Do they think, no, well, you've done enough of that, so there's not much further we can go. But the fact is, I think most people would be happy with their tax money being used for someone to get the hip operation they desperately need in a private hospital.
All right.